Hey everyone, welcome back. David in History for the Ages here. So I have already a few videos on primary sources, how to analyze primary sources, how to use them. I love primary sources when I teach history. And I thought I'd make just a quick video about three of my favorite primary sources from ancient times. And so you can see them all here. Thucydides, Polybius, and Tacitus. So Thucydides, he's actually a Greek historian. He writes the history of the Peloponnesian War, one of the more significant events in ancient Greek history. And one of the reasons I like Thucydides so much is just because his reading, his sources are so full of detail, so colorful in terms of how he writes and how he describes what's going on. I'm just going to read a short paragraph just to give you a sense of what I'm talking about. So this is set during the Peloponnesian War. There's a big plague in Athens, and I just want you to see how he describes it in such vivid terms, and you'll see why I enjoy reading it so much and using it. He says, people in perfect health suddenly began to have burning feelings in their head. Their eyes became red and inflamed. Inside their mouths there was bleeding in from the throat and tongue, and the breath became unnatural and unpleasant. The next symptoms were sneezing and a hoarseness of voice, and before long the pain settled on the chest and was accompanied by coughing. He goes on to say, for the disease first settling in the head went on to affect every part of its body in turn, and even when people escaped its worst effects, it still left traces on them by fastening upon the extremities of the bodies. It affected the genitals, the fingers, and the toes, and many of those who recovered lost use of those members. Some too went blind. There were some who also, when they first began to get better, suffered from a total loss of memory, not knowing who they were themselves and being unable to recognize their friends. Words indeed fail. One tries to give a general picture of this disease, and as for the suffering of individuals, they seemed almost beyond the capacity of human nature to endure. So you can imagine, it's a good sized book here, and it talks about the Peloponnesian War in very specific manner. So that's one of my favorite sources, just the way he writes. A second source I like is by the ancient Roman historian Polybius. Now, the thing with Polybius is he's not nearly as fun to read. His writing is not, I don't think, nearly as colorful. It could be somewhat dry, frankly. So you go, why do you like him? The detail he provides in terms of, like, when he describes the political system in the Roman Republic and how he breaks down, you have councils and you have senators and the positions of each one and what each one does. It's so detailed for us. I mean, for anybody who wants to know Roman history, this is such just a kind of straightforward, matter of fact source. I like that one a lot. And then maybe one of my favorites, and I put like kind of images of all three of them here, is by Tacitus, another Roman historian. His most famous work is probably called the Annals, which is kind of who's who of the first major dynasty of the Romans, the Julio-Claudians. But the one I actually assign every semester is a book called the Germania, where he talks about the Germanic people and who they were and how they're gonna, their way of life, their habits. And I think one of the most amazing things about him is he was, somebody who actually saw the problems inside of Rome during the golden age of Rome and kind of saw the dangers of the Germanic tribes, which later come in and eventually destroy Rome. So all three of them are really good books. There's so many other great ancient historians that I liked using and studying and reading and analyzing. Herodotus, Cassius Dio, Arrian, who writes about Alexander the Great. So many of these sources from ancient times. But those are a few. I hope you can, if you find those interesting, you can pick them up and learn about them. And of course, I've got a lot of lectures that cover about all this material here as well. You can find it on my various playlists. All right, hope everyone enjoyed that. You found that interesting. Just a quick little video on some ancient primary sources. All right, everyone, have a great day.